Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm joined by two of my pals, and we're going to talk about bands. Believe it or not, I mean, the people that helped me on the Substack thought that the issue of bands would be it's such a different thing, but it's really interesting. And they both played in the Ohio State marching band, and I wanted to talk about that, of course, because that's sort of unique, and we can't take that experience and say that's the way that all the bands are. But I think they're going to give us some insight into what it's like with many of the great bands in the country. Joining us is Trent Hoverman. He is a an executive with Gap. He does a really good job for them, and my pal Geoff Carr. And Geoff is a independent technologist who does a lot of amazing work. Very, very smart man. And also my partner in our dramatic series in golf against two very evil people. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to join us. So let's start, Trent, with you. How did you ever get so interested in band itself? Were you in the band in high school?
I was, yeah. So I grew up in Archbold, Ohio, in northwest corner of Ohio in Fulton County, and my dad was my band director. So I didn't really have much say into whether or not I was going to be in the band or not. So my dad was a trumpet player, my brother was a trumpet player, and then I played the trumpet as well. So I was able to really get involved in band at such a young age, and it was obviously a huge passion in my family. And I remember as like a little kid going to this band competition. And I saw the Ohio State marching band as a kid in like second grade, and I was like, I think that's where I want to go to school, and I want to do that. In second
Huh.
grade, didn't even apply anywhere else, John. That was it. I just applied to Ohio State, and that was my directive. That was it.
Geoff, were you in the band in high school?
Oh yeah. I grew up here in Big Walnut, and I remember seeing the band on TV, and it was awesome, just the precision and the sound that it put out, and it was all brass. So I didn't take the Trent route. I don't think I was good enough to get into the band out of high school, so I went to undergrad somewhere else, and then I did it in grad school. So I like to tell people I just got a masters while I was in the band instead of the other way around.
So, guys, what is it behind the popularity of bands? It's not just bands at the collegiate level, but it's bands just kind of across the board. Geoff, what is it about bands that people? It's been an explosion of popularity, I feel like, when it's come to bands. How would you explain that?
I think it's just the artistry of it, you know. These kids put in tons of work, and it's basically almost like a team sport. So just seeing all of that hard work come together and, combined with the drills and the music, and it's just, you know, I think it's just the artistry of it, something different.
What do you think, Trent?
Yeah, I think that, well, for one, like Ohio State, they've always been really famous for Script Ohio, and that's always kind of been really well known. And then I would say is like, I don't
Okay,
know.
well, first of all, everybody watching this doesn't know about Ohio
They
State
do
and
too.
Script,
They know about
Ohio.
Script Ohio.
All right,
It's
well, tell us about Script, Ohio.
What is that?
Okay.
Everyone knows what it is. But if you don't know what it is, it's
Yeah,
where the
thank you.
band gets in a block and they unravel and they spell out Ohio in script form. So they spell out Ohio, Ohio, and then they end it with this big triumphant dotting of the I where the sousaphone player, the tuba player, marches out, does his big strut, and he dots the I in Ohio. And it's a very prestigious tradition and honor to dot the I.
Okay, so you guys wanted to be in the band. You'd seen it on TV or you'd heard about it, whatever. So how hard is it to make, for example, the Ohio State marching band? Geoff, how difficult is it?
Hmm. Well, I think there's somewhere around 400 some people that try out every year for 200 some spots. So you're basically, those are your odds. And I knew I wasn't good enough to get in coming out of high school. So I worked on my physical fitness and my music abilities for 4 years. And then every summer they have summer sessions where you're working, several times a week and down on the field. And it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done at that point in my life, just the physicalness of it and having to be so precise and also play your instrument. So I would say it's a pretty competitive environment. I don't think a lot of college bands are like that.
How
Yeah.
about you? How about you, Trent? How
Yeah,
hard was it to make? Were you like,
it was super
because you
easy.
were so
So
good
easy
in
for me.
high
So
school, you
easy.
just marched right in, or what? How did it work?
Trent was
That's
the
exactly what
best.
it was. Yeah, they asked me to join. No. So as Geoff mentioned, there's all the practices. I remember they have these practices on Tuesdays and Thursdays called summer sessions from like 6 to 9 p.m. And I was living in Archbold at the time, as a high school graduate. And so I would drive down to Columbus every Tuesday and Thursday. A lot of times my parents would come down, they would drive me down and I would chill in the back seat on the way back because I was tired. And I would come down every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 hour drive for these practices so that I could get better, get in shape, understand the drills, the terminology, the music, so that when we got to audition time and tryouts, I was ready to go and knew what to expect. So it was definitely a hard experience. And I think one of the other things that's really important to know is that once you make the band, it doesn't mean that you're in the band every year. You have to try out every year to be in the band, and it's not uncommon to make it one year and not make it the next. So it's a very competitive marching band in the country for sure.
So when you go to these summer sessions, then is that a case where somebody was watching you, that if they could see that you were, how would you stand out? I guess would be a question. If somebody was watching you, what was the key to standing out? So they say, "Oh no, we got to have that guy." What was the key?
Well, they saw Trent and they just immediately let him in.
And I didn't have the hair back then, so that was I couldn't stand out then, but that was a problem. But I think one of the things, like you mentioned, Geoff, is like the precision and the focus. So when you're at summer sessions and they're giving you drills and instructions, they're looking
Who's
for you.
they? Who is they giving you drills?
It's led by the squad leaders from the previous year. So like every row has squad leaders that there's like two per row, and they're basically in charge of their row of like 14 people, and they give instruction of what to do throughout the week and are kind of in charge of those rows. And so in the summer, they are leading these summer sessions, and so you're getting to basically see the people that are going to judge you during your tryout to then determine if you get the spot. So if you're taking it serious and you're focusing in the summer and listening to all the drills, performing them well, that helps you stand out. And then when it comes time for auditions, they're like, "Oh, I remember him from the summer, or her." And so it's a great way to kind of get your focus in.
Okay, so Geoff, what about the tryouts? Tell me what it is like to try out for the band. What do you have to do?
Oh, it's a 2 or 3 day ordeal, and you're there pretty much from the morning to the evening, and you're basically down on the field doing drills. So these squad leaders that Trent mentioned are they're usually in groups of about 20 people, and there's two squad leaders each, and they're going to give you drills against two or three other people that are trying out. And it's not unlike the Olympics. I was just watching like figure skating last night, and they were highlighting, where the feet are touching and turning. I mean, this is what happens during tryouts. If they notice that, the ball of your foot isn't touching exactly on the yard line, maybe it's 3 inches off, and you have to do that without looking down. So it's just the tiniest little details they're looking at, and they have this rubric for grading you, if you're able to march. Uh,
What is marching? Tell us what marching is. Is it just like we see on TV? One, two,
yeah.
three, four. I mean, what is it like?
Yeah, so it's it's basically you're trying to hit a certain number of steps between the yard lines, and everybody has to have the same size step, right? So when the band's going down the field, it looks uniform. The lines are straight, and it doesn't look like wavy lines. So you have to know exactly where you are spatially around other members, and they're testing you that during tryouts to make sure that you're able to do that.
what's the fitness level that's required, Trent? Because you're not exactly the biggest guy I've ever seen in my life, you know. So what do you have to do to be fit enough to do this?
I think it comes down to your cardio for one.
Really?
Oh yeah, I think well when you so like at the very beginning in pregame and you're doing ramp, that's where they come down this ramp and they do Buckeye Battle Cry and they go all down the field and then back and it's at 180 beats per minute is the tempo of the song. So if you're ever at an Ohio State game and you look at the north end zone at the tunnel, you'll see a snare drummer looking at the clock on the scoreboard and we'll see it tick down 1 second and you see him take his drumsticks and he hits it 3 times every second. So it gets to 180 beats per minute. And when you're locked in at 180 beats per minute, that means your feet are hitting the ground 3 times every second. So now you're coming down this ramp, you're coming around, you're getting in your spot, and then you turn it and you get in position. And now you've basically been running essentially to get there. And now you got to put your horn up and have to have enough air to blow and play all the notes. That's when I found out in college I had asthma, and I was like, I need to get this figured out because I can't make it down the field, but everybody else seems to be just fine. And it really was able to, really makes you focus on your endurance with your cardio for sure.
And what about strength in terms of holding the horn, or what about that, Geoff? Was that challenging for you?
No, I don't think strength is super important. I mean, maybe for other
Right.
instruments. Trumpet's pretty tiny,
Yeah.
but no, the cardio is like Trent said, the hardest. I was not in the greatest shape coming out of high school. I spent a lot of time working on cardio, and it doesn't look that fast on camera, but you're moving really fast, and that kind of directly plays into how well your instrument sounds. If you're not able to produce, the column of air that produces the note because you're out of shape, that's a big problem. So it's kind of a combination of that.
So if you're in the band and you have 7 or 8 games, I don't know, 9 games, whatever it is, do you all get together, men and women get together and judge them yourselves after the game like a football team would do? I mean, how does that work?
Oh yeah. On Monday's practice, so the games, are typically on Saturday, and then Monday, the band practice room is in the stadium, and they have like big projectors, and basically it's like old school Madden style. The director like plays the tape, and then he circles, oh, you were out of spot. You were out of spot. There's an issue here. This is where we could have made this line straighter. Basically calls out all the areas you need to focus on. And so every week you're constantly looking at film to see how you can get better.
Yeah, not only that, but every Monday they have what's called challenges. So you're basically trying out every row in the band, which is 14 members, has two alternates. And every Monday, those alternates can challenge any member in your row for your spot. So you basically have another tryout on every Monday. And if they're better than you, then they get your spot.
Well, how does that build? Because I got to think that camaraderie matters, right? Teamwork. Uh, Geoff, how does that? You've got somebody looking at you saying, "Okay, I'm going to take your spot." How does that build uh, any sort of positive energy there?
Yeah, every row in the band, Trent and I were in B row, which is all trumpets, and each row almost is like a little, you know, I don't know what the frat or sorority. I mean, it's mixed, but it's like, you do everything together, so you kind of get to know everybody really, really well. And there's, thinking back on it, it's a lot of fear, but it keeps you on your toes to
Yeah.
keep you good at what you do. But every Monday it was kind of some mind games to make sure you're not going to get challenged by somebody. But you
Or when I was a freshman, I was a alternate for quite a few games at the beginning of the year and had to challenge every week to try to get a spot. And I think that, as you mentioned about you're trying to build this camaraderie, um, everybody in the band has so much respect for the band as itself. It's bigger than just one person. So everybody wants the band to be as best as it can possibly be. So the challenge is keep everybody on their toes and make sure the band is always sharp. And so everyone has a respect for that.
How many hours a week would you guys work on this stuff? Because you were not music majors. Neither of you were music majors.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
how, I mean, this sounded like a huge commitment. Was it a huge commitment?
Yeah, every day of the semester you're there for at least 2 hours for practice, and then every week you have to memorize a new show, all the music. So they never use any sheet music in public. So every song has to be memorized. So you go home and work on that. And then
Yeah.
game days, like I lived up with my parents during grad school. So if it was like a noon kickoff, I had to get up at 3:30 and I would be down in the stadium at by 5. And then I'd get home at, 8, 9 p.m. From the game. So
Yeah.
it was never ending.
It was, I would always try to make my course load a little bit lighter in the fall because of the
Just
band.
take band.
Yep.
Trent, did you ever get challenged?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Did you?
I challenged when I was a freshman, I had to challenge for my spots until like my first game was Ohio State versus Penn State in 2002. And then I think I won out until, yeah, I did the remainder of that year. But I was getting challenged then every week, then person trying to get their spot back. Um, yeah, it's a little bit of a stressful experience for sure. And I think the whole environment, was really exciting to create something so magical at the end of the day. But there was some fear probably involved
All
because we
right.
want to
So
make
let me
sure
let
you
me
feel
let
good.
me ask you about this one.
All right.
Did you see people cry when
Oh,
they?
me? Oh my goodness. John, let me tell you a story. So it's about me crying. I remember
Every day.
I made the band. So you try out, they want everybody to try out like on the same part of music. So like trumpets, everybody tries out on second part. First part is the melody. They're the ones that are always playing the iconic music that you know. Second part's the melody. And so I tried on second part and I made it on first part, which was great. Except I then had to relearn all the music that I knew. So then I had to learn all of that, and then you go into practice then that like first week, and then you're expected to learn all these drills and learn the halftime music and learn my new music. I remember, I remember sitting in like Morrill Tower, calling my dad, who was my band director. My dad, I don't think I can do this. This is just too much.
Cry.
I remember crying, thinking about how much it was for me to try to learn. And as Geoff mentioned, it was one of the hardest things, he ever did. I would probably agree. It was probably one of the hardest things I ever did too. But it made me into a better person at the end of the day. So yeah.
Well, Geoff, did you ever? Was there ever anybody there who just said, "I've had enough of this stuff. I quit"? Did that ever happen?
Trent, I had to
Is
talk to
me.
him about he told me he was trying to learn all the music and he wanted to quit. No,
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
I don't remember that specifically. You put in so much work to get in, you kind of see over the minor stuff. It keeps you going. It was quite an honor to be in the band, all the things that you get to do and the attention you get. So I don't think I remember any specific scenarios of that.
Well, I can remember talking to Urban Meyer when he finally decided he wasn't going to be a football coach anymore.
Mhm.
And he told me that there is no substitute for the rush that he had when he ran out on the field. I can sort of relate to that by, situations I was in that created an adrenaline rush in politics.
Mhm.
But tell me, Trent, because you were like the first one out in the, as I recall, because there is a an alumni band, right? And tell us, both of you, to talk about the rush of going on that field. And there's 100,000 people there, right? And they're all waiting. I've always said that I've enjoyed the band more than anything else about the football game. But talk about the rush. What's it like?
Yeah, it's exciting for sure. And I think what everybody loves about it is that it is consistent. Every time you're going to get a great performance. So then, like in that scenario, alumni band is amazing because you do have the opportunity to come back once a year and kind of get that rush again and see all your old friends. And they randomly choose your positions. based off your instrument and where you're going to be. And I was lucky enough to be one of the first people out of the tunnel. And so the drum line comes out and they start doing their silent count and they start playing. And then I'm one of the first people to then lead the whole entire band out. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, let's watch it. I'm like watching them because everything's silent. So I'm like trying to see when they do the OHIO motion to then basically start and step off. And then from there, I'm like watching that. And then I'm like thinking, okay, I got to turn here. I got to have this many number of steps here. And I got to turn left. And I got to go this many steps here until I get to a certain yard line and then turn. And everybody is right behind you. So you got to make sure you do it right. Otherwise, you're going to have a marching solo. You're going to be all by yourself. Like, what's that one guy doing? Oh, that's Trent.
Did you kick him in the backside, Geoff? Were you close to him?
Oh yeah. We had my first time was pretty interesting because we were basically out of the ramp entrance first, so we could stand there before we went out, and you see the 100,000 people just waiting for you. And I I remember starting to get nauseous because it was so much anxiety and stress, and I didn't know if I could even continue. So they're like, "Well, just don't play any song, don't play any notes." Like the first game that I ever went out, I didn't play. I don't think I played any music at all because you're just trying to count in your head when to turn.
Well, did they know that you weren't playing?
No, I mean the crowd is so loud and
I knew. I
um,
could tell.
yeah, I was crying after that. No, it's just so deathly loud, nobody could notice if one person wasn't playing, but after that, you get used to it and it becomes automatic. So the second, third time, it was a lot easier to actually contribute to the sound than just try to not stick out.
So do you have people that come for the alumni band who can't march anymore? I mean, how do they decide that? Because I think the alumni band does pretty well.
Yeah.
Isn't that right? I mean, they're good
Yeah.
performers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everybody's obviously great considering they've been through the whole program. And obviously, yeah, as you get older, it gets a little bit harder to move sometimes. But we recently had um, a gentleman, he just had his 100th birthday and he was out there marching out there. Unfortunately, I think he's recently passed away, but
Wow.
yeah, it's amazing to be able to think that you could still be 100 and get out there and do it.
Okay, so Ohio State likes to say they're the best damn band in the land, and that you got the initials and all that. Who are the other great bands? Because you guys obviously observe.
Yeah.
So, who are the other bands that you would say were really, really great, and why were they great? What is it that you saw? Was it the music they played? Was it the way they marched? Let me stop there, Trent.
Yeah, I think Big Ten has a lot of great collegiate marching bands. I think of Penn State and Michigan as having great bands. Michigan really is focused on their musicality, and they have some pretty creative drill designs as well. Penn State has a lot of great history and tradition too. Those are two that come top of mind to me. And I think when we talk about tradition, I think that's some of the great things that collegiate bands offer that you can't find elsewhere. And so those are some ones that really stick out to me.
How about you, Geoff?
Yeah, I think it's trying to figure out what criteria to judge bands by because there's so many different varieties. Like Ohio State's the largest military style band, brass band. So it was basically created in a military sense of precision and a lot of angles and that kind of thing, a lot of visual flair. But then there's other bands that are more on the side of like dance bands that are more into dancing around and entertaining and that kind of thing. But I think it's hard to compare. I'm drawn to the military style just by my own preference, but it, it doesn't stick out to me right now. I think probably, I mean, we had Grambling there this year, and Trent and I were on the field, and that was amazing to see.
They were
Completely
excellent.
different style, but they're awesome.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's a difficult question to answer.
Yeah.
I think you'll find too everyone is so passionate about it that it's like Coke versus Pepsi. I think I think you'll get a passionate response one way
Really
versus the
cool.
other.
Right.
Yep.
So, you think there was a conspiracy to keep me out of the band because I played the clarinet? Could that have been part of a conspiracy?
Oh,
Of
absolutely.
speaking
That
of
was
not
like
hearing anything, I mean, you're never going to hear a clarinet on the field.
that was part of the oath we had to take when we joined the band. We will never let John Kasich join his clarinet. I didn't know it at the time, but it makes sense now.
So, let me just say that it's really impressive. And did it change your life, Geoff?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, for most of my early years during that period, I've always wanted to do that marching band, and it was always in the back of my mind of like I need to achieve that, and everything I did was kind of not everything, but I was kind of guided by that. I was preparing for it, and I decided to do it in grad school and also get a degree while I was there. But yeah, I think just having to follow a path and an aim of getting into that band, helped me develop patterns of physical fitness and, working towards a bigger goal and working as a team and and that kind of thing. So
And discipline, right?
yeah, definitely a lot of discipline, being to places on time and that kind of stuff. It's just carried through.
How about you, Trent? What would you say the biggest takeaways are?
It's definitely offered a lot of opportunities for me. I was just reminiscing about this last night with my wife. The first time I ever flew was with the marching band on a chartered jet to Tempe, Arizona for the 2002 National Championship game. That was the first time I ever flew. You got to travel around the country. It was a great experience making lifelong friends. I have my trumpet set up back here. I work remotely, so it's a great conversation piece.
Play something for us.
Maybe if a meeting takes too long to get started, I pull my trumpet out and play Careless Whisper, and I've been known as, Trumpet Trent. And so it's been able to open a lot of doors for me in unique ways.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, these are two really outstanding people, and they're great friends of mine. I'm extremely fond of them, and as my wife is, and so we do a lot of things together. And I mean, we recently went to see Metallica, the three of us in Jeff's Cybertruck. It was just a blast. We just went to see Billy Gibbons, the lead guitar player of ZZ Top, that I didn't know really much about, and kind of Jeff said, you need to go to this, and I did. And we're off to see a great play because Trent also does that. They're so musically inclined, but gifted in many other ways, and I very much appreciate their friendship, and I'm hoping that it'll continue to grow, which I've no doubt that it will. So, guys, thanks for taking the time, and what should I say other than I guess go Bucks?
Thank
Wow. Hey,
you for
thanks.
having us.
Yeah.
Go
All
Buck.
right. We'll see you guys.
See
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.